Can you believe that last Sunday, yesterday, was the last Sunday for the next 6 months with no football? And then obviously we'll get the UFL after that. But between the NFL, college, and pretty much next summer, man, before it really dies down. But I am super excited. We are in game week where the Detroit Lions will host the LA Rams in what will be part 3 of the Goff versus Stafford. And those two guys are now 1-1 when it comes to playing their former teams. They didn't play each other. We didn't play Goff. Did we play the Rams? Put in the comment section. Did we play the Rams between, I want to say we did, between 2016 and 2020 when Stafford was traded. I'm not sure off the top of the dome, so put it in the comment section below. But today, man, we're going to go over Coach Campbell's presser and just a few notes, not very long, just a few things that I took from his presser. First of all, this was recorded. He said when it was recorded, there were 7 or 8 days before the game. So this was either recorded Friday or Saturday. So that was the first thing I noticed. He said that the roster was pretty much set. And we will bring that into the fact that the Detroit Lions do only have 52 people on their active roster, which means, in my opinion, that either a DT or a wide receiver will be elevated. And I think that that guy is going to be Tim Patrick. We talked about it before when he was put on the practice squad. When he was put on the practice squad, it was for the thought that he was going to move up. So I think that Tim Patrick, I think the Detroit Lions will go into that Rams game and we'll hear that Tim Patrick is going to be moved up to the 53-man roster. He spoke, Dan Campbell, about it being about 24 to 48 hours before they knew what was going to happen with that spot, meaning that the decision has probably already been made, and they probably saw enough of Tim Patrick in the 2 preseason games that he played and then the stuff before that, before he was injured, that they feel confident enough to move him up to the 53. So that's my guess, is that Tim Patrick will be moved up. Talked about cutting guys loose and that practice is over. Training camp is over. It's time to get down. Preseason is over. Time to cut these guys loose, meaning the guys that we've been waiting to see, the St. Browns, the Laportas, the Jahmyr Gibbs, the David Montgomerys, the guys on defense, Jared Goff, everybody cutting guys loose. And I cannot wait to see it on Sunday. He also was asked about the D-line, and he feels good on the D-line with Mr. Martin is out. He's going to be out. He's on IR, so he's going to be out a while. And DJ Reader, we don't know if he's going to play yet. We should probably know very soon. I hope we know before Friday. I can't believe we're in this is football week. So now you got the predictions, you got the injury report, you got all that stuff. We are here, man. You've got just everything that involves an actual game is here, so that he feels good about the D-line. They asked him about playing an Aaron Donald-less Rams. And it's weird just saying that Aaron Donald is retired, but how they had to watch him everywhere he went. No matter where he was, they had to account for him on the football field. But now they don't have to do that anymore. But there are some young studs on that defensive line, or developing studs, and they got to turn their attention toward them. So even though we won't have Aaron Donald to face, we still have to deal with those up-and-comers on that defensive line. So thankfully, our offensive line, with everybody healthy, is more than capable of holding their own against those guys. Talked about Jared Goff. And you know what the crazy thing about Jared Goff? That he was stable and reliable. And they asked, what has he done? He said not only was he stable, reliable, but that he brought that to a organization in 2021 that was terrible. I mean, it seemed like so long ago that we were firing those other guys and we were enduring the 0-10 start, I believe it was. We were 0-10-1 before we won our first game. And how Jared Goff, and it's crazy, man, because, trying to figure out Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, you really can't. And I think I would have to say 75% of the fan base thought Jared Goff was not only a bridge quarterback, but we were going to immediately get rid of him. Like the very first draft, he came in the offseason of 2021, and that April, y'all thought we was going to get rid of him. I think that's when Malik Willis No, Malik Willis was 2022, right? That was that draft with the Kenny Pickett's and all of that stuff. So 2021, that's what it was when we took Penei Sewell. You guys, we had the 7th pick, and there was a lot of people. I remember Justin Fields, Mac Jones, the guys that went after Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. And it's crazy because Trevor Lawrence is the only guy with his original team. Y'all wanted to, 75% of this fan base wanted to get rid of Jared Goff. I would say 50% still do. Goff is not going anywhere. This team was built. We finally did something that we didn't really do around Stafford, and that is put a team together. A full team. We just got to get that defense together. That defense together, and the Detroit Lions will be good for a long time. So it was good to hear that no matter what we thought, Goff was never going anywhere. Also, how Levi looked better. Levi is a guy who going into this offseason, Levi's going into year 4. So ironically, he's going into a contract year. And I thought he was not going to make the team. I just didn't. And it's crazy because last year, I thought Iffy was that guy heading into this year, but then he just came out of nowhere, and we'll touch about him later. But how Levi has looked better, and you can see that he didn't take any snaps, I don't think, during the preseason, but if he did, it wasn't many. Levi, talk about a guy and a guy who can like rise from the ashes this year. Levi is a guy that I am kind of excited to see. I'm excited to see what he brings. Him, Pascal, those guys that we brought in to help that defensive line that have not really lived up to their potential. So I'm looking forward to seeing them this year. He talked about, we'll talk about this last point last, but that Iffy, I don't know what happened to Iffy, but he apparently had a lingering issue. Somebody asked him, was this from the Kansas City game, which was our second preseason game? Dan Campbell said it was before that it was something that's been lingering, and I would assume through the offseason. And it's kind of crazy because Iffy is a guy that kind of came alive last year, went from 0 to hero in like 7 games, man. He was the 2023 version of James Houston, and I want him out there. So hopefully, but he hasn't been placed on IR or anything like that. He's probably going to be inactive if he doesn't play and get better. It reminds me of Brian Branch last season when Brian was hurt in like week 4, and then we didn't see him for another 3 or 4 weeks, and then he came back. So I'm expecting Iffy to miss this game, but then we'll probably have him back after that first quarter of the season. I have no, obviously, inside knowledge. This is all just spitballing here. And the thing he talked about as well is, when I first read the quote, because I read about the press conference before I saw it, and he talked about the Super Bowl, how he told the players to stop talking about it. Like, all of that doesn't matter. And talking about the Super Bowl, and we got to take one step at a time. And if you guys remember last year, we did the same thing when everybody was pegging us a Super Bowl, not like in contention and winning the division and all this stuff. And Dan Campbell pumped the brakes. He got everybody focused, and he said, listen, we need to win the division first. And I like how the focus is still the same. Win the division. That guarantees you at least one home game. Get the best record, right? So take baby steps. Win the division, best record, win the conference. All of that stuff, home field advantage to the Super Bowl. And then once we do all of that, then we can talk about Super Bowl. And I think that as a player, it must be tough to block the outside noise. But when you have coach in the room talking to you and you're actually the one playing, I think that it might be easier said than done, or easier done than said, because I think that you focus on the opponent right in front of you. You don't have time to be thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens or the Cincinnati Bengals or the Houston Texans, whatever AFC team you'll face in the Super Bowl, right? So you gotta take care of your conference. You got to take care of your division. You got to take care of your house, right, before you start thinking about the Super Bowl. So I like that the coach has us focused, has our guys focused, man. And I am super excited, man. I cannot believe, and I've said this numerous times, I've been creating content about the Detroit Lions for 5 seasons. I started in the 2018 season, became like a regular thing in the 2019 season, Kyler Murray's first game, when we went to Arizona and went with a tie. Like, we left there with a tie, which is crazy to me. But so I've been doing it. This is my, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm going into my 6th season covering the Detroit Lions on a YouTube channel. And this is by far the quickest offseason I've ever seen. And I'm thinking about imagining if we would have went to the Super Bowl, had we won the Super Bowl, which I think if we face the Chiefs, I think we win. But we then have a party a parade on Woodward, and now you're talking about now having that conversation between the draft and winning the Super Bowl, how quickly that would have gone, and then the draft being here in Detroit, and before you knew it, it would have been OTAs, and I expect this offseason to be the same. So hopefully the Detroit Lions now being on everyone's radar, not sneaking up on anybody, that we don't lose any of that edge that we had in 2023, because I think that we need to stay hungry. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They've won 3 out of the last 5 Super Bowls, right? 2 back-to-back. And they have an opportunity. So you might be like, okay, all of these guys are competitors, but they want to win. What could keep them going? The fact that they have a chance to make history by winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. No team has ever done that. So that might be the thing that keeps them motivated if they could get a little stagnant, a little stale. Knowing them guys, man, I don't think they do, especially with Coach Reed over there. And I see that kind of same mentality for the Lions. We have gotten better every season. Under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, we have literally gotten better record-wise every single season. I am predicting 14-3. That's my ceiling. My floor, honestly, is 12-5, maybe 11-6, depending on who gets injured and things like that. So I still got us winning the division. But can you believe, man, that we are, like, football is here? It's crazy. Like, next week, we will be talking about the Rams game. It blows my mind. Want to take care of some things real quick. Fantasy football, the draft will be happening this week for all my member levels. So listen, if you are a recruit member, we have 2 spots open. 2 spots were filled by a different level of membership, so I had to remove them. There are 2 spots open. Check your community tab. You will see it. It'll say Syndicate Recruits. Check that. All right. The draft is today at 6 o'clock Eastern time. All right. So if those spots are not filled by new people, then I have some ideas of what to do with those. The Syndicate executive members, if you are executive members, we only have a handful of those. Please check your community tab as well, because if we don't get enough players, I might have to finagle some things. And if you are a director member, then your draft is open. Not the draft. The community tab is open. The draft will happen on Wednesday, right? Because today's Monday. So Wednesday, my days are thrown off because of the holiday. So check that. We will get it happening. We might have to merge 2 of the member tiers together because we just don't have enough. The executive membership is I have the least amount of people in the middle one. So I have more directors and recruits than I do executives. So I might have to do something for that level, because I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, football is back. Consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Over the weekend, we hit 21.9. I am trying to get to 22K by kickoff on Sunday. You guys can help me do that. This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. Football is back, baby. And as always, go Lions.